Recently, I've been watching a lot of TV shows, or at least a lot for someone who primarily watches movies, but the programme that caught my eye more than any other is a series called From. Starring Harold Perrineau, who you may know from Lost, Sons of Anarchy and the Matrix sequels, From is a show currently consisting of 2 seasons about a family of 4 who find themselves stuck in a town where strange things happen in the surrounding woods and danger presents itself at their doorstep every night. If that hasn't already interested you, then let me ramble on even more about what an incredible show this is, especially for mystery and sci-fi fans like myself.
Que sera, sera.
Following the television phenomenon that was Lost, which started in 2004 and ended in 2010, the medium of TV was taken a lot more seriously. Artistic, character-driven and narrative-based shows weren't just restricted to HBO anymore, and cable TV had started churning out moneymakers like The 100, Breaking Bad, Manifest and tons more. But despite the barrage of shows hitting screens across the world, no show seemed to scratch the itch that Lost had done, carrying on its premise of an unexplainable place full of horrors, wonders and characters with sketchy pasts. At least, no show seemed to successfully scratch that itch. Plenty had tried, including my favourite show of all time, The Leftovers, which is the most beautiful piece of art on the planet, but doesn't quite replicate that same feeling of uneasiness and confusion. That is, until 2022's From premiered on MGM+, formerly Epix. And I think it's fair to say that watching this show is the equivalent to being edged week after week. It's been a long time since I've watched a show that got me hooked like From has managed to, and it doesn't even need a cliffhanger for me to rapidly hit that next episode button. Sometimes the pure drama or tension that an episode ends with is enough to have me sat in complete disbelief that this is where the episode has ended. But I do measure a lot of this up to the fact that From is very successful in setting up mysteries, much like its spiritual predecessor, Lost. If I've managed to interest you enough already, then I highly recommend checking out episode 1 right now. Going into this show blind is the best recommendation I can give. If not, then here are some minor spoilers to try and hook you on the show. This is all either inconsequential stuff or things I knew going in. And I knew very, very little, so don't worry about the mysteries and shocks being ruined already. So, assuming the show doesn't let me down with its eventual answers and conclusions, which I'm hoping it doesn't as it seems like a story with a very tight structure and sense of direction, the storyline is absolutely incredible. As mentioned before, we follow the Matthews family, consisting of 2 parents, Jim and Tabitha, and 2 children, the eldest Julie and the younger brother Ethan, who all arrive in this mysterious, secluded town. For reasons I won't detail, they find themselves stuck in the town for the night where they meet characters like Sheriff Boyd, played by leading man Harold Perrineau, his deputy Kenny, leader of the Colony House, Donna, and many more. And all of them are desperately trying to warn the family of the dangers that emerge from the surrounding forest at night. Creatures that emerge at night. They may look like people, but their sinister smiles hide something horrifying under the skin. And the only thing to prevent them from tearing the town apart are talismans installed into each house. However, the talismans only work under the promise that all windows and doors stay firmly locked, and it's fair to say that this rather flimsy defense mechanism creates some great tension and horror in the future. On top of the wonderful premise though, you have the wonderful cast. Not only are all the actors doing a sensational job, but you'd be hard pressed to find a character that isn't fleshed out beautifully. Everyone feels completely real and you can understand or sympathise with every decision that gets made by anyone. Not only this though, but everyone serves a great purpose for the greater plot. Each character is like a jigsaw piece, all fitting together to create the bigger picture, and that's exactly how a show should handle its cast. For example, Jim is a roller coaster engineer, so he has a lot of experience with electricals and construction. He works closely with Jade, a high-up genius for some big company, so obviously his superior intellect and ingenuity works wonderfully with Jim's practicality. Jade also has some exclusive knowledge that helps tie him to a character called Victor, whose childlike nature as a result of living in the town his whole life draws him close to Jim's son, Ethan, and the two become friends as they investigate aspects of the town that no one else seems to notice. There are plenty of other interactions, dynamics and collaborations that truly make the show stand out though, and some lovely downtime in the centre of some episodes that makes the emotional connection to the cast all the stronger. With it being such a harrowing and grim show at times, there's obviously a lot of grief going around, and the show deals with that in a really mature and delicate way. Not to mention all the other aspects of the characters' personal lives, like parental resentment, strained relationships, a relative with dementia, illness on set, and so much more. The scene that comes to mind most when I think of how the show handles sensitive subject matter is a really beautiful moment in the season 1 finale. Without spoiling it, you've got this character who's kind of been an asshole all season, barely taking notice of anyone's problems and making jokes at everyone's expense. But then he notices this woman who's been very kind to him considering his actions, and she's grieving. She's just sat there, silent and still, grieving. And he finally opens up. He talks about his own experience of loss, how it shook his whole world, literally and figuratively, and how he came away from it learning that no matter where you are, how much time has passed and who you've met since, whoever you lost will always be with you in some way or another. And I am not exaggerating when I say it is one of the best scenes I have seen from anything all year. The two actors involved are incredible, the dialogue is wonderful, the musical score is touching, and the way the scene is shot is so intimate. The whole show is worth watching just for this scene alone. Oh, but I wouldn't get too attached to anyone if I were you. No, because, and I kid you not, this is the first show I have seen where I truly feel like no one is safe since the very early years of The Walking Dead. I am not joking. It feels like anything can happen to anyone at any time. Even the mains feel like they're not invincible to this nightmarish town. But sadly, no matter what you do, you can't help but love this cast. So my oh my does it hurt when they start being picked off one by one. Something else really worth mentioning about the show is just how great the production value is. I mean, this is largely in part to the fact that it's mostly set in this really small collection of houses, so there's not much budget going towards set design or location shooting or anything. The show gets to use the same outdoors set over and over again, but don't let that trick you into thinking that the show is samey. Not at all. At the exact moment I started wondering, what are they going to start doing with the show now that I basically know everything that's going on, you get hit with a massive curveball that leaves you more than eager to binge the following season. The creators truly know how to take advantage of such a simple setup and play it to the absolute fullest. Not to mention, it allows all the special effects, practical or computer generated, to look stunning when they do crop up, and obviously the camera work is incredible. It's an absolutely gorgeous show that, despite being very green, which is my least favourite colour, it never fails to draw my eyes in at every shot. And God, I haven't even mentioned the opening credits. Seriously, if this thing ever releases on Netflix, it should be made a fucking crime to press the skip intro button. These opening credits are absolutely genius. The mixture of crayon drawings, photographs and stock footage works wonderfully to craft the tone of the programme and the weird juxtaposition of some of its characters and themes. But the way that it very subtly reminds you of all the looming mysteries is frankly fantastic. Thankfully, you get a previously trailer at the start of each episode, so the major plot points are never out of memory. But the very minor mysteries that don't get much attention drawn to them are front and centre in the intro, to the point that you might forget that you're even being shown mysteries, but you most certainly are. Just make sure to remember the crows in the jukebox. That'll mean something someday. Oh, and bonus points for using the cover of Que Sera Sera by Pixies. It's a wonderfully haunting track played by one of the greatest bands of all time. So great that my channel is half named after them. But yeah, hopefully I've convinced you to give this show a go. It's become one of my all-time favourite shows so quickly, and I've been dying to share it with you guys. Even if only 2 of you go off and watch this show, that's 2 more viewers that this show desperately deserves. It's definitely one of the most underrated programmes I've ever seen, and I hope it develops a greater fan base now that the 3rd season is just around the corner. Thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure to go and check out the first episode of From, even if you have to acquire it through less legitimate means. And feel free to check out some of my other content here on YouTube. If you can't tell, I'm very into sci-fi, and if you are too, then great. Anyway, as always, I have been your host, Mr. Greaves, and until next time, take care of yourselves, everyone. Goodbye.